So, hi everyone, welcome to midday.com. And our guest today is an acclaimed director, producer, screenwriter as well. Hi, Onir. We're happy to have
Hi,
you.
hi,
Hi.
hi, Natasha. Good to be here.
Same here. And it's been a long journey for you from the time you made My Brother Nikhil in 2005 to 2022. So, how would you just recap your career?
Difficult because it has all kinds of emotions, but I feel that I always feel extremely grateful and extremely, because this was the only dream I had when I was in class 8. And to be living that dream, I couldn't have asked for more. So when I look at, and I've been also doing the kind of things I want to do, so that's a privilege to be making the kind of film one wants to and to be able to do it. That itself is, a reward.
And that film, particularly, of course, was a milestone for the community and it won awards all over the world. So how do you look back at it now? Because of course, it did change a lot of things and put things into perspective, especially about the community when people weren't really discussing it back then.
I feel that in a way, a lot of people tell me that, oh, if you had made My Brother Nikhil now, it would have had got much more commercial
Absolutely,
success.
yeah, yeah,
And I always tell that I rather be the first one to
yeah,
have done it, and it continues. When in 2011 I did I Am. Okay, some of the stories that I dealt with in I Am, be it the story of sperm donation. A year later, Vicky Donor was made, but I had made it
yeah,
before that. Similarly, it also had a story about the Kashmiri Pandits, which was in 2011, and now it's 10 years later. Okay, so I feel good that to have done things, even if it always becomes difficult, but to have done films which tells difficult stories way before its time, and in a way, that way the challenges continue, in a sense that even in 2022, when I'm trying to make certain films,
yeah,
it is equally difficult because new challenges come because the stories I want to tell now are not what I wanted to tell 15 years ago, are what challenges the system now, you know. So it kind of then recently I met a friend of mine. He says that why are you always challenging and fighting,
yeah,
and it becomes easier for someone else after 5 years to come and make a film on the same thing and become. I said the thing is, one is, when you're sitting on the other side of the fence, it's easier for you to tell why are you doing this, but it's about my life and my rights, which nobody has the right to tell me not to speak about, and I will always speak about it.
and it's also been 3 years since the decriminalization of Section 377. But do you feel things have actually changed? People's perspective and the way films on the community are treated also.
I think marginally it has changed in a way that today you have a lot more, like, because it becomes a part of mandate for various corporates, inclusion. So they will have their tick marks to do that. Let's have an
True.
inclusion talk, and platforms also need to have some queer representation. So they'll quickly do one web series or have a character. But I feel that a lot more needs to be done, which is from the heart, and even if we, when one film comes, we're all jumping and happy, but we are the world's largest filmmaking, country in the world. And if we even, scientifically, even if we go that, okay, 10% of the population is supposed to be queer, we
Yeah.
don't even have 10% films which represents the, so it's not even that, okay, out of 100 film, 10 films, it'll be out of 2000 films, two films or three films that represents the community. And I feel very often these stories are trying to address an audience which is still trying to accept us. They're not necessarily our story. They are more stories addressed to that medium, trying to teach people. And I feel, right now I'm just starting in May, I'll start an independent film called Thoda Pyar Chahiye, I'm calling
Okay.
it. and it's a gay love story. And that film does not try to beg for acceptance,
Mm.
be it family, be it the audience, be it because my life is not about taking baby steps. I'm living
Okay.
it. And it's not about, I don't get destroyed if someone does not accept me, including family. I
Yeah.
would think that their life is a little less richer. And I want to see films which show that we
True.
are not always this, we are not always who are willing to accept being a second grade citizen,
Yeah.
you know.
Absolutely.
So be it my fight right now with the defense ministry to let my story being told, everything is about my rights without being apologetic. I don't believe in living a celebrating living a life of compromise. I know many people live that life. I don't judge them. They have their own reason, but I don't celebrate them either.
No, in fact, I have to admit, this is not something I had even planned, but because I myself grew up on Bollywood films. So, the kind of representation that happened in the 90s when we were growing up. And, we
That's
had these ideas that, that people from the LGBTQIA community are characters to be made fun of, like we see in the movies. And I'm so glad that has changed, even for me as a person today, and I've just become a better person, I feel. So, that's thanks
that's nice.
to like you. Yeah.
That's nice.
And of course, you always speak what's on your mind. You even tweeted about a film recently that had communal slogans. And not many people would do that, because they want to be on the good side of the industry. So, what is it that makes you speak your mind?
If I look at myself as a minority, and we have had a long, long struggle.
Yeah,
And whatever we have achieved today, we are far away from equal rights, but whatever rights we have achieved today is because many, many people who are not necessarily a part of the community stood up with us, supported us, gave. So it's my duty as a if I'm a good human being, I cannot selectively decide what to speak up for and what not to speak up for. So I see myself first. I want to be a good human being first, rather than gay, straight, Asian, Hindu, Muslim, atheist, whatever. The thing that I strive to achieve is to be a good human being first. And as a good human being, you need to stand up for people. You need to speak up against anything that you deem as wrong. And I make my mistakes, I make wrong judgments, but that's human as long as I admit to those mistakes.
yeah. And also, like you said, your film on a pure major was rejected by the defense ministry. So, how did that? Did it
Yeah.
come as a shock because you were ready with your cast and ready to shoot it?
I was sad. I was not shocked because I was sad that this story right now everyone is saying that the importance of letting stories be told. One, especially if it's real. And I am thinking that how come all these people are not speaking up for me? My story was based on a real person,
True.
right? Is it because my story does not incite hate? Is it because my story is a love story? And is it because queer people don't matter as much? That somehow, though our numbers are much, much, much higher, I don't honestly, I don't compare. One person wronged is as good as 100 people wronged. But I'm surprised that there is so much of talk. But when I'm trying to get support for my film, which was also discussed in the parliament, there is no, even there is support, but not as much as I would have wished it to get. And that also shows the double standards of the government that a story inspired by real incidents, which only what does it seek? It just seeks equal rights and dignity to the queer community. And why should that threaten anybody? So I was sad. I was really, really sad that as a queer person, why don't I have the right as anybody else to serve my country?
And like you said, your film is based on a real major. So how did you
Yeah.
come across the story, and what was the research?
There was a news article in 2020 with NDTV where Major Suresh had given an interview where he spoke about how suffocating it was to be gay and to be. But apart from it, also the others I can't take names, but I've
Yeah,
spoken to scores of army men, you know, who are from the community, who feel they love the country, they want to do their job, yet they can't be themselves
yeah,
because they're afraid of being judged. And I also know this that, like me as an out and proud person, I also do a lot of work with the Indian Army, and I've always been respected and loved. So mostly people don't care. It's just regressive, outdated law which just needs to be dumped. Someone has to do it. So I have started the talk and I hope that this leads to something. But I would like more support. I would like support from all those people who are, and I believe every story should be told, but why are you not supporting my story being told?
but do you plan to apply for permission again, or how do you plan to go
I've
about
already
it? It is
applied. The
close to your
biggest
heart.
problem I'm having, I have applied again, once again, in appeal. But the biggest problem is while the government is discussing my film in the parliament, they are not replying to any of my emails, with any concrete, and I feel that's extremely unkind that not only you refuse, you are not willing to have a dialogue. And maybe they're not willing to have a dialogue because they know that they're wrong.
And like you said, a lot of people are still scared of being judged from the LGBTQIA plus community. So what was it for you coming out? What gave you that courage? Because it does take a lot of, guts
Yeah,
to
but
be
this is
yourself.
some,
It's unfortunate, but
this,
it's true.
yeah, but this is something which is kind of a little strange with me. I've never had really a coming out. I've just
Okay.
been myself. And recently, like, I've been working on my biography for Penguin, which comes out in June.
Wow. Okay.
And I was talking to my friends like Preetam and Amitabh, and with who we all started here
Yeah.
together. Namita, and I was asking them, at that time when I used to go out for gay parties or in nightclub, because it was all hidden. Did you all know this? Because I had forgotten that when
Yeah.
did I really? He said, yeah, yeah, he used to come and tell us all details and everything. So it was, till I, of course, became a filmmaker, it didn't make sense
Yeah.
because, when you have a voice, you use it for the. But before that, also, whoever mattered, I didn't go out saying, hey, I'm gay, but I lived my life without camouflage. And all my close friends knew about me, after the minute I recognized it. So it wasn't one moment, but, till I was in college, I was floating. And I believe also, unless if we were in an equal society, I wouldn't even like to be tagged as gay, because I
Yeah.
believe as a person you connect with inside. All these constructs are very artificial, and I might, yeah, when I was in college I used to be falling in love with girls, and I didn't stop. And today if I fall in love with someone else, as long as that person, another girl, if she accepts my truth, why will I stop loving? So I
Yeah.
don't believe in those boundaries. I believe that if I would let my soul connect. I don't bracket. I put it in a bracket because I feel that too many people are not in a position to come out, and when they see someone who is out, it gives them the courage. And that's why, a lot of people tell me, straight people, oh, why is this necessity of coming out? No one should be told, because kept encouraging people to come out. I said, again, it's your privilege, because have you ever heard of a straight man have or woman having to come out? So how
Exactly.
would
Yeah.
you know the importance? You never have to do it. You
True.
never. People will say, oh, why do they have to be on the face? But you are on my face all the time. Your love stories, your is on in right from education, advertisements, films. You're everywhere. We are
Yeah.
nowhere, literally.
Yeah.
So it's very easy. And also, a lot of people who are closet, they start also justifying. I don't judge people, but when people start justifying this whole, romanticizing this whole thing that you don't need to come out, it's your personal thing, is
True.
because of their own cowardice, you
Yeah.
know, because they don't understand that as being queer, we don't, it's not really a choice, because how
Yeah.
come others don't have to deal with it, you
Yeah.
know? So let's be honest and say that, okay, we are not coming out because we are in a unequal world.
No, but like you also said, that I think the biggest hindrance sometimes becomes family who don't really support, even if, people do gather the guts to come out, but the family doesn't really support them. And that's a lot of people, I think, because especially with India, you have those emotional connects and you don't want to hurt people. And that's actually terrible because you can't be yourself because you can't hurt your family. So that's,
You know, we sometimes go by all the norms because we're brought up that way of a very heteronormative society. You know, I feel that as gay people, you need to find your own definitions of family. And I believe that, you know, I always tell people first focus on your career, be independent so that you're not afraid. And
yeah,
then if you come out and your family does not accept it, have the courage to walk out, because that love means nothing because they don't love you.
yeah,
They
that's
love the idea of what they want you to be. And if they can't love you the way you are, then that love is meaningless. And if you're worried about hurting them, what about hurting yourself? You're as precious. You do not deserve to hurt yourself. And also, this process ends up very often people living in denial and fake marriages. So you end up not to hurt your family, you end up hurting some girl or guy because you are a coward, you know. And I feel you don't have the right to hurt anyone else. You can hurt yourself if you want to, but not the right to spoil someone else's life
true.
because you cannot deal with your truth.
And as a filmmaker yourself, of course, when you were making, films that did justice to the community, but you know that, like I said, there were films that made a mockery. And how did that
Yeah.
feel as an audience? Like all the good work that you were doing kind of just, nullifies with these kind of films.
I don't know if it nullifies. I just feel that, you know, I would like to look back at my life and think that every brick I laid was a positive brick and not a stone thrown at someone,
Hmm.
you know. So I rather be a part of building something beautiful
Yeah.
than contributing to hurting, to violence, to hatred, you know. So I don't judge myself or my work in reference to something else. But for me, my work is a growth in my own life, which I want to enrich. And while doing that, I hope to enrich a few other lives. And as long as I can touch, change few other lives, I'm happy.
Have
I
you
don't need
also?
100 crores.
Yeah, that's true. No, no, I think the work you're doing is worth it, whether 100 views or not. It's definitely helping lives, which is much more important. And yeah, and also you have your production company, that you started with Sanjay Suri, of course, a close friend
Yeah.
again. So, any projects that you all are kind of working on right now because you'll support a lot of new directors as well. Yeah,
So right now, actually, one is of course we are working on my next film, which is, well, we are, which is
yeah,
delayed, but we will make it. You know, I am stubborn, and we'll find a way to do it, and you'll hear soon that we are, you know, figuring out how to do it. And before that, independently, I'm making another, because out of frustration, I was so angry and frustrated that I wrote this, you know, worked on this gay love story which I mentioned earlier,
yeah.
Thoda Pyar Chahiye. And so that I start shooting in May,
Okay,
and we are should happen after that. And also I'm working on a web series for Sony Live, which is the investigation of after the Pulwama blast. So that's quite a it's a needs a lot of research, sensitive story, which needs to be told sensitively, which I hope to be able to do.
yeah.
Uh, so yeah, it's quite a full plate.
And lastly, there's been this debate as well that, that you rather cast actors from the community rather than just, any other actors in these films. So what do you feel about that?
So I have a mixed reaction. I feel that people also confuse between gender and sexuality. When you're casting someone trans, I feel it's very important because it's another gender. Like you don't cast. There was a time when in theater you used to have men dressed as women because
Yeah,
women are not allowed, but that was wrong, and that's why it changed. So similarly, actors, male and female acting as trans is not okay. I know that sometimes it's difficult to find the right actor, but you need to at least look around. And I believe because I'm casting someone trans for my next in VR,
okay,
that there are enough trans people with a lot of talent. They just need some workshop. But I also am very reluctant about endorsing that, oh, you need to cast someone gay for
yeah,
a gay, because one, because of society, there are many more people in the closet who don't come out because tomorrow it might be difficult for them to get a straight role. So you
yeah,
cannot force them to come out. One, two, if that happens, then means in a year, if there are two LGBT films happening, everyone, all the gay actors will be competing for that,
yeah,
whereas they won't be cast for any straight roles. And that's
yeah,
absolutely unfair because as an actor, you should be able, and some of the best films in the world,
yeah,
be it Brokeback Mountain, Happy Together, Call Me by Your Name, I mean, name it. They are actors have been cast not because of your sexuality, you know. And similarly, I feel directors, Wong Kar-wai has made some of the most beautiful, or Tom Hanks in Philadelphia. So I don't think that as actors in India, it becomes, of course, it's difficult for, like when I'm casting now, it's very difficult to get a straight actor who, and sometimes even gay actors who are comfortable with the physicality because they're constantly thinking of what society will think or judge. So it's very difficult to get someone who is totally at ease with physicality or whatever. And I've been actually for the film that I'm doing right now was at one point saying that, okay, if there is a gay actor,
mm,
I will I will give him first preference. But I didn't manage to get any appropriate gay actor who would fit the role because that person has to. I won't now change my script because,
yeah,
you know, but I didn't get that. So I feel that it's unfair, and also I feel that tomorrow I don't want someone to tell me that, oh, you're gay. How can you direct a straight story?
yeah.
Because I want to believe that when I did my last film, which was Kuch Bhi Kiya Alfaz, I want to believe that it was as beautifully told as I would tell any gay love story.
Thank you so much for doing this. It was lovely talking to you. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.